If we never don't move forward, someone's gotta change. You watch the riders outside. You watch if we never riders, someone's gotta change.
Hi folks, Daniel here and welcome to the Jeff Only channel. Today, I'm finally reviewing my 2021 Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. Wow, that's quite a mouthful. And if you don't understand what that means, don't worry, I'm going to explain it. But if you're a Porsche-phile, you know what that means. But today we're going to get a nice close look at the exterior of the car, talk about the tech specs, and talk a little bit about the history of where the GT4 came from. I hope you learned something, and I hope you learn to love the car as much as I do. Be sure to check out my next video too, where we're going to drive this car, talk about the handling, and of course the interior and the options that I put into it. Let's get started. The Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. Now you know Porsches, their iconic halo car, the 911, always been an amazing sports car. It's got two little back seats and an engine hanging over the rear axle. But if you remember, back in 1996, Porsche came out with a great entry-level Porsche, the cheaper, lower-powered Porsche Boxter, but a different design. It had a mid-engine. That's right, the engine was right behind the seats. And it was so well balanced, an amazing sports car that handled really well and, you know, looked sporty, fun to drive, but was never really powered quite like the 911, so it never quite competed with it. And it was a lower priced Porsche, so it was a nice entry-level Porsche. In 2005, the next generation of the Boxster came out, but they also brought out the coupe version, and they called it the Cayman. The Cayman was a lot like a 911 in a way, and if you didn't know Porsches, you might think it was a 911, but it was smaller. The curves are a little different, and honestly, the looks never quite did it for me, and the power certainly wasn't for me. I've always been a horsepower guy, and I always just needed a little more power to weight ratio. I know they're fun to drive, just not fast enough for me, in the straight line at least. Now, when Porsche came out with the 2016 GT4, people were excited. Finally, an entry-level GT car that was amazing. It was the right balance of handling and power at 385 horsepower and lots of great aerodynamics, great suspension, great brakes, of course, and simplicity, plus the most important thing to a lot of enthusiasts, a stick shift. It was a dream car. And it only came out for 1 year. Porsche's been making GT cars for a while, like the GT3 and the GT2. Yes, the lower number is the higher car. So now with the GT4, this was exciting. The idea is that Porsches are always been great cars on the street and in the curvy roads, and yeah, you can take them to the track. But the GT level cars, they are at home on the track and they're still acceptable on the street. A little rough around the edges, a little noisier, but they still are a great car to drive no matter where you're driving it. In 2020, Porsche brought back the GT4 in the new generation, the 718 generation. Technically, it's the 982, but 718 was sort of their marketing thing as a throwback to the racing days of the 718 Porsches. Either way, this GT4 has been improved in a lot of great ways, and it continues to be the raw GT car as it should be. You don't get a lot of the frills of, say, a Cayman GTS, but you get aggressive styling, but every bit of that aggressive styling is functional. We have ducting to pull air through, under, over, and around the car, into the brakes to cool it. around the car for downforce, into the engine for breathing. At times it may seem a little gaudy, but it's all very functional. This is no racer boy stuff. This is real, actual functional aero on this car. Everything's been engineered by Porsche to work. Even the underbody of the car is completely sealed off, unlike the previous generation. Underbody panels, even dimpling like golf balls have, to reduce drag and keep that air flowing under the car and out this beautiful rear diffuser, ducting the air, creating more downforce. In addition, getting help from the spoiler on the back of the lid and the wing up above. Again, it's kind of in your face, but it works. Overall, I think the 718 looks even better than the 981 version, and with 50% extra downforce and 29 extra horsepower, it makes a difference. The car does weigh a little more, unfortunately, but it's still faster. You see, the 911's always had the horsepower I wanted, but the Caymans never did. And finally, we've got a power to weight ratio that I like, and aggressive looks that I like, because I never was quite happy with the basic Cayman or Boxster look. It was just not aggressive enough, but this, obviously, is a different animal. Now, I waited till 2021 model year to order my car because Porsche did something new. They brought their PDK transmission to the GT4. Now, I know you purists are like, no, it must be a manual. And you're right, that 6-speed manual is a lot of fun, very engaging, as everyone says, but the PDK is right for me. It's still engaging, a lot of fun to drive, and technically, it is faster in a straight line, and with the same driver, probably faster around the road course. And as a guy with a history of drag racing as the first motorsport I ever got involved in, it's still an important benchmark for me. And I like that this thing is half a second faster, 0 to 60, and half a second faster in the quarter mile. This car runs about 11.9 at 120 miles per hour, which we'll verify in a future video. Now, in addition to the aerodynamics and such, we need to put down that power to the wheels and do it appropriately. So this does have a limited slip differential with Porsche's torque vectoring, which basically just means it can brake the individual rear wheels to give you the right amount of dynamics to get this car around those curves. Now, if you like the Boxster, good news, the GT4 comes in a Boxster form, but they call it the Spider. That's right, you get pretty much the exact same car, but with a convertible top. Very cool car, and it actually offers even more of the fancy features that this car you can't get. Let's check out some of the changes that have happened with the 718 here on the back. Compared to the 981, the 718 has this new diffuser here that ducts air from under the car, and so this exhaust is no longer in the center, it's split apart. They've also changed the wing. The wing now has blended end caps instead of the hard end caps. These are the two things that you can easily pick out a 981 from the new 718 GT4. They also changed the tail lights. No longer are they red, they're clear, maybe even a little tinted with black housings and red LEDs. They look really slick at night. Also up front here, they've changed the front end. The splitter is different to provide more downforce to balance the rear's new downforce. They look really similar, but a lot of things have changed since the 981 over to the 718. Like, the wheels are actually a little different, the intake has changed, the side mirrors aren't quite the same, the door handles have improved, the rocker panels have definitely changed, the headlights and side marker are different, the ducktail area, and now we've got this little vent ahead of the front wheel. Now, Porsche doesn't give you many options on the GT4. I would say about a third of the options are available because, well, they want you just focused on driving. It's not all about the nice things in these cars. On the exterior, there's very few options. Besides color, there is the brakes. You can actually option out for $8,000 the carbon ceramic brakes. And they're great because they don't dust, they last a long time, but I didn't do that. I stuck with the steel brakes. I love these. These are 380 millimeter rotors, 6-piston calipers in the front, 4-piston in the rear. But you'll know if somebody has carbon ceramic brakes because they have yellow calipers, unless they've optioned to paint them black. Now, one of the few options on the front of the car is the headlights. There's 3 levels. So there's the base, which has a lot of chrome in it, and I opted not for that because it just didn't look so good. But this is the mid-level, the PDLS lights. They're xenon headlights, they have self-leveling, they turn with the steering, they're nice. But for another $700, you can upgrade to the best, and that is the PDLS Plus lights. They are LED, and they do everything these lights do, but they also can separate their beam pattern to have bright in one section and low beam in another section. So you're not blinding cars, but you're getting maximum visibility where cars aren't. Very cool. Now, I know I said that GT cars generally don't come with a lot of options. They're sort of stripped down, but this comes with the Porsche Sports exhaust. That means you hit a button in the cabin and the valves open up and the exhaust gets louder. One of the other small options that you can actually do to the exterior of this car is choose to get the Porsche logo in black. I stuck with the chrome for now, but I might change it up later. You can also have the GT4 logo completely removed. There were a couple options for wheels on this car. You can get the satin platinum like the ones I have, or you can get them in a satin black or even a bronze color. But I've always liked black and silver, sort of the monochromatic colors. The fact that I'm wearing anything red today is unusual. One of the great things about Porsche GT cars is they come with a lot of the things that drivers would usually modify on their car to make it better. For example, all the aerodynamics, right? A lot of people like to add spoilers. Well, this car comes with one hell of a spoiler already, and it's actually adjustable. It has 4 degrees of adjustment for street versus track use, and when you make an adjustment there, you actually have to make an adjustment in the front to balance the downforce in the front. I'll have another video showing you how that's done later. Also, the suspension, it's already great. Of course, there's ways to improve it, but it's already amazing and has a lot of adjustability. For example, it's already on a coil-over suspension that's adjustable. So it already rides 1.2 inches lower than a standard Cayman, but you can lower it more. Yeah, you don't have to buy lowering springs. You can just make some adjustments and lower this car to the height you want. Another thing a lot of people like to upgrade on their car suspension-wise are sway bars. Well, this already has great sway bars and they're even adjustable. Front and rear sway bars have 3 adjustment points to change the anti-roll characteristics of the front and rear, which definitely changes the dynamics of the car. Let's talk about grip. One of the things that makes a car a great track car is the tires. And this car comes standard with Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires. These are the type of tires that you wouldn't normally put on your daily driver because, well, you'll be lucky to get 10,000 miles out of them. But they're super soft, super grippy, and they're designed for track and autocross use. This is one of the key ingredients of making this car faster on a road course. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the satin finish. That's right, if you've seen my first 3 videos where I talk about, getting your attainable dream car, ordering this car and driving it for the first time, you remember it was gloss black. And I love black, but I can't handle taking care of it. I hate those micro scratches and swirl marks. So I knew if I was gonna get a black car, I'd get it completely wrapped in clear bra or paint protection film, PPF for short. But I wanted to do something a little different, and Expel makes their Stealth PPF, which gives your car this satin finish while letting the color underneath show through. So this is actually not only changing the look of the car, but protecting it from rock chips. It lasts about 10 years. I have to say, sometimes I miss the gloss, but other days, this just looks amazing. Now, besides the options I chose when ordering the car, I've made a couple little modifications to the outside so far, besides, of course, the Stealth paint protection film. I've also added 20% ceramic tint all around, and the Euro spec side markers. The US ones are orange, and it just really ruined the flow of the sort of monochromatic elements of this car, besides those beautiful red calipers, of course. Also, to help with the black look of the car, I changed up the Porsche crest to an authentic Porsche crest that's been refinished in just black and silver, and I think it just looks great. All right, folks, that's it for my technical and exterior review of my 2021 Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. So now I think you understand what all that means. And you'll want to join me for the next video where we get in and drive this thing. We talk about its driving dynamics, what I like and don't like about it, and of course, review how I spec'd out this interior, which I really love. All right, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of future videos. I got a lot of Porsche content coming. Thank you so much for watching the Jeff Buellney channel. We'll see you next time.
Someone's gonna change. Someone's gonna change.